You're injured on the job, you have restrictions, you've been offered modified duty, maybe it's even in writing. You show up and you try it, and something's wrong. It's not exactly what they said it was, and there are problems. You can't do it. What do you do then? Hi, my name is Britton Morrell. I'm an attorney with Kaplan Morrell. We're a Colorado law firm that helps injured and disabled workers navigate the workers' compensation system. We've been doing that since 1997. We would love to help you. And if you find this video to be helpful, please like or subscribe. If you have questions, comment below. We'd be happy to help you. And with that, let's dive into it. One of many common occurrences when you've been injured on the job is you're going to be treating with a doctor. The doctor is going to give you restrictions, and often these restrictions will mean you can't be doing your regular job. You'll be off work, and you'll get what's called a modified job offer. And when that happens, you should try it. What happens if there are problems? We help clients deal with this, but typically there are three problem categories. Number one is you get to the job and it's not how it's described. You get there and it's completely different. Number two, you get there, it's as described, but there's some part of the job that you find out really is a lot heavier, a lot more different, and you can't do it, doesn't meet your restrictions. And the third category is what happens if the job's exactly as described, it's totally within your restrictions, and you still can't do it for physical reasons. How do you handle those situations? We're going to discuss all three in this video. Now, when you're offered a job, modified work with your employer, you should always make sure that it's properly and well described. It isn't just, come on in, we've got light duty work for you. Find out exactly what you're doing. So that's number one. Number two is make sure that you understand your work restrictions. It's not good enough to say, well, I can't lift anything heavy. You need to know I can't lift anything more than 5 pounds, because heavy could mean anything. Okay. More often than not, as we've discussed in other videos, the job offer is going to come to you and it's going to be written. It's going to have duties described, and a doctor is going to sign off and say, yes, my patient can do that. You're told to show up on a certain day. Let's say you show up and it is completely different. For example, they have said it's a sit-down job only. You're going to be sorting papers, and now they have you sweeping and mopping and picking up trash. Okay, what do you do? Well, the first thing that you do is you say to your supervisor, this isn't the job that was offered, and you pull out the copy of the modified job offer and you say, this is it. I'm here to do this. Okay. And if that doesn't work, then frankly, what I recommend is you start pulling out your phone and you start taking pictures or video of what it is they want you to do. Now, what you say to your supervisor is, I'm not going to do this unless it's reviewed by the doctor. So let's go through. I'm going to videotape it. You tell the doctor what you want me to do. I'll go make an appointment. I'll show the doctor the video. Oftentimes supervisors aren't going to be really happy about that. Maybe then they'll say, oh, no, sorry. Yes, go over there, sit down, sort papers. Okay. Now, if it's something extra that wasn't added and you can do it physically, then you should do it. Okay. We're all adults here. If they've got some extra work, you know you can do it, go right ahead and do it. We're only talking about extra duties or different duties that you know you can't do. That's how we recommend folks deal with modified duty that isn't as described. Talk with your supervisor, talk with your employer, never do anything outside of your restrictions, have the job, have the tasks or duties, if you're unclear, reviewed by the treating doctor for additional sign-off. Okay. Second scenario, you get there, the job is described, but there's something there that isn't quite right. So for example, maybe you've got light duties, you're only going to be doing sweeping and mopping, picking up light trash, and they say the trash isn't more than 10 pounds, but you get there and you're starting to see that there's trash there that's 25 pounds or 30 pounds. How do you handle that? Same thing. You don't do it. Okay. You never violate your restrictions, and particularly you don't do anything that you think is unsafe for you to do. You always try to do only the work that you feel safe to do. Number two, you raise it to your supervisor. Here was the description. It says I can't lift more than 10 pounds. I wouldn't have to lift 10 pounds. That trash over there is 25 or 35. And if you need to get something out to measure it, go out and measure it, but don't do it. Same thing. If the supervisor insists, don't do it. The supervisor insisted that you eat glass. You wouldn't do it. Why? Because your body is more important than this job. Same thing. You've got a phone in your pocket. Take pictures and videos and then report it to the doctor. But don't do anything outside your restrictions. Okay? Third and harder element. But let's say, for example, the job is completely as described, but you find out, and it's within the restrictions, but there are stuff you're being assigned that, while technically within your restrictions, you can't do. So let me give you a classic example. Let's say you are not allowed to, you've got a low back injury, you are only able to be lift only 5 pounds, no bending, let's pretend. And the employer says, I want you to mop. And here, the mop, let's weigh it. It's under 5 pounds, even wet. And you do it, and that movement really starts hurting you, okay? And you say, I can't do this, back and forth. I can't mop. And your supervisor will say, hey, there's nothing in these restrictions that say you can't mop. And what you'll need to do is say, I understand, but I need to discuss this with the doctor. And then you go and make an appointment with the doctor. You don't do it. You don't do it unless, again, if you don't feel you're safe to do it, and you go to the doctor and you say, hey, doctor, I've got this modified job duty. They have me doing, let's say, 5 things. These 4 things I can do no problem. And that's a really important thing to start off with. Always start off with, when you're talking with the doctors and your employer, hey, these parts I can do, not a problem. But my problem is this. It's the mopping. And when I do the mopping, I'm having to twist my low back, and that is causing it to hurt. I've got concerns about doing it. Should I be mopping? And hopefully the treating physician will say to you, no, you shouldn't, and therefore it gets removed as one of the duties. If that happens, it's great. If it doesn't happen, then you're really going to need to talk with your attorney about how to go forward, because frankly, at that point, you may have to go get restrictions from your own doctor and then request a medical leave or accommodation. It can get complicated. One of the keys that I hope you've learned in this is that working with an attorney, understanding your rights, understanding your obligations in a work injury will always be in your benefit. And that's why Kaplan Morrell has been serving injured and disabled workers in Colorado since 1997. Personally, I've been helping injured and disabled workers since 1995, and we would love to help you. So I'd like you to get help. We're going to put the information here on how to get help. And that is, you can call us at 970-356-9898. You can go on our website, kaplanmorrell.com. You can comment below. You can text us. You can reach out to us via WhatsApp. We've got lots of ways to help you, to stay in contact with you. And with that, thank you for spending part of your day with me today. Thank you. Bye.